name's Eve Horn. I'm founder of Peak Music UK and the We Are the Unheard campaign, a campaign for the equality of women in the music industry. The next video you're going to see is the amazing mastering engineer Steve Baughman talking to MJ Medina and EMM during our International Women's Day event about how male engineers can be allies to female engineers and women in the studio environment. So first of all, I would just like to welcome everyone and thank you all so much for giving me your time tonight in aid of the Unheard campaign for the equality of women in the music industry. So the aim is for everyone who feels unheard to go grab a t-shirt, and thank you so much, Steve, for wearing yours and supporting the cause. You are actually part of the reason why this day is happening, because of the group that we are both in, and you asked why there weren't any more women. So as a result, I got brought in as a moderator, and I had an idea to take over the group for International Women's Day, and we are here now. So I'd like to thank you so much for your time. So anyone watching, go grab a t-shirt from my website, peakmusic.uk. All the proceeds from the t-shirts go back into teaching young women in production and songwriting. I'm sorry, it's been a very long day. I've been doing this all day. So I'm like, you know, I've had the baby and she decided to like do all sorts earlier while I was live. So
she was having a little percussion show earlier. I saw. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice, actually. She had a shaker. She had a couple things.
She did. She literally bought all her. She's got a whole drawer of musical toys, like every single type of instrument you can have, and she decides to bring them all out when I'm doing that, and then poop. Yeah.
I have that book.
I had to deal with that while I was interviewing Manon earlier. So. Joys of being a motherhood and a woman in the industry, I guess. But I'm going to leave you guys to it. Steve is going to be talking to these amazing women on their journey in the industry, and I can't wait to sit back and actually watch it. So thank you all again for your time today. I am so honoured. And yeah, I just don't have the words. So I'm going to leave you guys to it and take a back seat. So Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Eve. I really appreciate it. And it is a pleasure for me to be here with my amazing friends who happen to be women in the music industry. I reached out to M and MJ, which won't get confusing at all.
I was going to say, oh, man.
Yeah, but I reached out to both of you guys because I felt that you had such a unique path in the music industry. I think you both have been on multiple aspects of the music industry, from artistry to marketing to actually MJ's running has run studios. You've set up a whole dynamic of like a little empire. I would like an EMM empire for your music. So basically, at first, if I could, I'm gonna start with you, M. If I could just have you just give me a little bit of who you are, what you've been doing, and the things that you are championing in the music industry right now.
Okay. Thanks for having me, by the way. I'm so happy to have a platform to talk about this stuff because it's really important to me. And I'm sure people on my Instagram get really sick of hearing about it. So I'm glad to be able to talk about it somewhere else. Yeah, I'm an artist. I write and I produce and engineer and pretty much do anything you can do creatively. I learned a lot the last couple of years about the visual side of things, really been mastering that, and that's been really fun. I'm also an influencer and have had quite a bit of success there, which has been great for my social media and for my, obviously, projects for my music. I'm very passionate about women's issues. I'm very passionate about supporting other women in music. I've had a pretty tumultuous journey everyone thinks that I'm nuts to still be doing what I'm doing, but I really enjoy the work and I love the craft. So my story is really crazy, and I'm hoping that I can use my platform just to empower people and remind people that they matter, and help people be brave. And I also talk a lot about mental health issues. So that's pretty much what I'm about.
Hey, thanks. Thanks so much. Mental health issues, I've got so many myself. I'm glad that people talk about them. It's a stigma in our society not to talk about them, and it's not making anything better, that's for sure. MJ, if I could do the same thing with you, if you can kind of maybe just kind of give us a loose, like where your trajectory has been, and where you're going, where you've been and where you're going, basically, in this music business.
So I started out as an assistant at Ecstasy Studios for Yoshiki Hayashi, moved up to doing day-to-day running, co-running the studio, and doing day-to-day management for his other music part. Went from there to the Village. I've basically been in the recording industry, but doing marketing, event production. I've also been a performer. I had a band for a minute. We did the touring thing. So yeah, I've kind of dabbled with different areas in the industry, but mainly focused on marketing, event production. And now I just recently launched We Hear Noise Music Group, which is an artist services label distribution. For also sub is We Hear Noise Records. And I had marketing. So actually, United is my client. A lot of people think that I work here as an employee, but they are my client for the past, I think, 6, almost 7 years now. So I produce a ton of events over here and run marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, just so I think, so the audience is clear. Right now, MJ is sitting at United Studios in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so right now I'm in Studio B here at United. I'm actually in our ISO booth. This room is more popular. We were just talking about Brian Wilson has recorded a lot in here. I mean, gosh, just endless. From Ella Fitzgerald in 1962, I believe, to Michael Jackson. Who else did we were? It's always funny when you're asked like on the spot to name the artists who've worked here and recorded, and I just always blank, and it's like, oh yeah, no doubt.
You could pretty much, just throw a dart at a
and
it'll hit an artist that worked there. It's one of those studios that I think in LA that every major artist has probably been to at some point. If you've recording live music in Los Angeles. Well, thanks. I appreciate. We're gonna dive into more about the different little aspects of of what you're doing throughout this conversation. I think right away I wanted to kind of ask the two of you is, obviously representation with women in the industry is abysmal. It has, and I don't completely understand why, and I would love to understand even more why it is. I mean, as we get going, because I'm tired of just having one sort of voice always in the studio, and I know other males that make music are the same way. Like, why don't we have female voices telling us, how we should be shaping the music industry? I was wondering, did you have anybody that you saw as a woman in the industry that inspired you or mentored you, and or was someone that you were like, oh, that's where I would like to be? Is there?
Yeah, I remember watching Linda Perry because I loved Christina Aguilera growing up, and I would watch her on all her documentaries and stuff. And I was like, oh, that woman produces and writes songs and is very involved in the technical side of things. And like, she was the only one that I ever saw in that position. And then I also remember seeing like Alicia Keys be involved in her production. And I always thought that was like really cool. And when I got older, I started producing around that same time that I was seeing those women. And as I got older, I realized like, oh, my voice is not nearly as, it's not treated as being as important or valuable in the studio as the male voices, even though I know like a lot of the times I have much higher credentials as a musician, and like my background is very like, I was raised by classical musicians. Like I've studied classically since I was a child. So like, and worked very hard as a producer to like be properly credited. And like, yeah, I think there's, like you said, there's like some major issues with, even if you can be heard in the studio and get your ideas down, it's like even just being properly paid and properly credited is like still a huge issue too.
Makes sense. MJ?
I
How about
love
yourself?
just mentioned Linda Perry M. Linda was very influential to me as a kid growing up, but just recently on Saturday, one of my artists performed at Rock and Relief, and they announced my label. And she was right there, and the person on stage is announcing my label, and then she performed with the band that's on my label. And it was just one of those moments where it's like your childhood hero is up on stage with the band that you signed to your label, and it was incredible. Definitely Linda Perry. And that woman is so powerful. Her voice, and it's like, oh yeah, Linda Perry, she's an incredible singer, songwriter, I mean, just everything. But the power in her voice when she's singing like 15 feet away from you, it just like your soul needs it. It was magical. I guess another mentor for me was wasn't in the industry, but she's the one who motivated me. It was Elizabeth Wall-Magner. She was a lawyer when I lived in New Orleans. And one day she just told me, you need to move back to Los Angeles, get into the music industry, and dump your boyfriend. And
Always good advice.
It was great advice. And I'll never forget, she took me to this really nice restaurant, and just like in that order. And she wrote me an incredible review that actually got me the job with Yoshiki. And it just kind of like, that's what set me on the trajectory of just really empowering me. And she moved on to being the head judge for Louisiana. And I think she's retired now, but yeah, that woman was just incredible. She, just took me under her wing and really just set that path for me of like, don't be afraid of anything. You're going to always be surrounded by men in any industry, because especially in New Orleans, judges, lawyers, she was the only woman. They called her the Dragon Lady. And that really inspired me. So moving into music, those words always resonated with me. Like, don't be afraid of them. If anything, they're going to be afraid of you, or they're your peers. And that's what's really helped me, because I haven't really had women mentors. I've had women peers. I think maybe, I also consider her a peer, but Casey Mancebo. I've known her since about 2013. Just incredible woman that has been around, for about 20 years in this industry, grew up in the industry. Her father founded the first credit union. She does artist management. And she's also one of those people who are just, you can call and question, hey, I'm producing this event, I need this, or help me with this. And she's always the one that's like, yeah, you can she'll set you up. I think if anything, her as a mentor. But yeah, I think Steve B, you're not a woman, but I think there were moments you kind of stepped in as a mentor for me as well. And I'll never forget that. It was really crucial at that time as well. It was when I first started performing. I was nervous. I didn't have anyone really helping me. And you came to my first show and saw me trembling. And I'll never forget, I get off stage and you're like, okay, you need your tuner, and you need to tune after every song. It's like, got it. No.
I still have that photo of you. I remember I was on my BlackBerry back then. I was so happy I could take a picture on a phone.
That was a moment. But yeah,
actually,
it was like people like you who would just let me come to the studio. We'd hang out and listen to music, or I'd, was booking showcases at that time. And so I'd bring bands over to you, introduce their music, and we would decide on, who I was going to book or what I was going to showcase or stuff like that. So I've had mentors along the way, but I feel like maybe 2 crucial women in my life that have really set that up.
Look, that kind of like leads into my next question, actually. I think today is an important day for women to inspire new people to join the industry, to make women feel welcome and encouraged. But I also think it's a good day for education for men and young men. And my question would be, in your opinions, where can men in the industry and then young men coming into the industry, how can they become better allies, and how can they help amplify women's voices? Em, I'll start with you if you want.
Yeah, I love this question because I think what you're saying is so true. Like, a lot of things are unconscious, like they just don't know better, and they just have never thought about what it's like to be in a woman's shoes, so they just don't think about a lot of things that we wish that they would think about.
I agree. I think that empathy is not, it's hard to figure out that empathetic part of what we should be. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep on going.
No, you're fine. I mean, that's so true. Like, women are taught to empathize from the time we're children. A lot of times, like through media, we're watching men on screens or watching male main characters. The superhero is the man, the main character is the man. So we're used to empathizing with male stories, and men aren't like raised empathizing with women's stories. They're raised viewing us as the accessory, or like the B side of the story, like the subpar character. So I think like it's asking a lot of people to be like, hey, I need you to be aware that like you have been in this position of privilege for your entire life and you're not even like conscious of it. It's a lot like with Black Lives Matter. Like, a lot of white people like myself have had to start to be like, oh shit, like I gotta like think more about this and become more aware and become more empathetic and see like what I could do. So I love this question. Sorry, little rant. I think first of all, like making studios feel safer would be amazing. Like making sure bathrooms are clean and safe, and making sure that women feel safe in your studio, making sure there's lots of cameras. Like for me, I don't know how heavy you want to go, but I've been in a lot of unsafe situations in studios alone with men, and then not believed when something did happen. So I think like believing women, validating them, and then making space for them to shine and be great. Like I was saying before, like as a producer, I've had so many situations where I sit down to put in an idea or sit down at the draw, and people are kind of like weird about it. And I think just like encouraging women to shine and like do their thing and like celebrating them instead of questioning if it's as good of an idea as it would be if your bro did it. Being aware of like bro culture, not objectifying women when they come to the studio. I remember once I was at the studio and this incredible artist, incredible, she came in with no makeup and she killed it. And then she left, and all the male producers in the studio were like, she doesn't look as pretty as she did in her content. And I'm like, do you think she's supposed to have a glam squad to come to the studio? Like what? But that's just like a small
because they were all looking so gorgeous in the studio too, right?
Yeah. And obviously, like, I think like keeping an eye on like girls when they're in these environments, like whether it's live or at the studio or whatever. Like I had a really good friend. She was actually like raped at a gig. And I think like men being aware of like, just because a man is nice to you doesn't mean that he's safe for us. And just because he seems cool doesn't mean that he's like going to be respectful of us or that he's safe to leave alone with us. Like, don't leave us alone in a room with a man we don't know. Like, that's scary, especially for people who have been assaulted. Like, it's very triggering. And then be like, let's be creative. And it's like, I can't be creative. I don't feel safe. So I think just like being really aware, like if you see a guy who's like, oh, this is my friend that objectifies women a lot and like makes a lot of like probably not really like empathetic, loving comments very often. Like, he just seems like, if you're not sure if he's a safe guy, he's probably not. So I would say like, just be really aware, like keep an eye on girls when they're there in the studio, and then just like treat them like humans. That would be great. I mean, that's just like for the studio. Live is like a whole other thing. Like listening, when we say like, hey, I need this, this, and this on my microphone, I need this set up in my audio, like I sound the best this way, like we know. And I think sometimes the most frustrating thing is just not being validated or believed when I say like, I need this, 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 and this. It's like, they don't listen to me. And I'm like,
Yes.
I have been doing this my entire life. Like, I need you to, like, I know how I sound the best. I know my voice, like, I don't know, things like that. So I think just like listening, validating, believing, and then supporting, and then like protecting when it needs, being aware of like, okay, maybe I should just like keep an eye on this situation or this dude or whatever. I think that'd be a great starting point.
Yeah, I appreciate all these points. I think that's fantastic. It was a side note. Just when you're saying this, it reminded me of the very first day I met you, and I actually feared for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was working with a rap artist, and the first day I met you, you came to my studio, and the rap artist met you at a gas station, and then
taco spot. It was a taco spot.
Or taco spot, yeah. And
I was very young. All right, don't judge me.
No, I'm not judging. No, I just remember.
No, not you. People listening.
Yeah, no,
That was confusing to hear. I'm not judging. It was just, why would he arrange to meet you at a gas station? But it's
no. She was just there. They just by chance.
We just hit it
saw
off.
her.
We just became friends.
Yeah, and I was a little like, this is a young girl in my studio. And I was I was already a dad, like, and all my dad instincts like started kicking in. I was like, oh God, I'm not sure if this is right. Like, so I remember having a very protective feeling of M from the very first moment I met her. And just because even in that era, this was quite a while ago, wasn't it, M? It was a little bit, it was just a different time. Even a less.
It was pre-Me Too.
Yeah, it was a pre-Me Too, and it was exactly, and it was kind of like people were even less aware of their, and of course, this was a rapper who had his usual rapper bravado. So it all made for me for like a little, like I was like a little. I remember being a little bit, oh God, let's make sure that we make this as smooth and as comfortable as a spot for this person. So I appreciate all that insight you just gave on, and it was a really good, concise explanation. MJ, how about yourself? What do you feel that can be added for allies?
Is just in general teaching your son that women are not sexual objects. Don't treat them like that anywhere. Not just in the recording studio, recording environment. Don't objectify them. There's so many situations, and that I can relate to what you're saying of being in the studio, in different studios with producers or whoever, where I was uncomfortable, or I was harassed, or I saw someone else, or someone else leaves the room, or a client has a tech, a woman who is a tech, kicked out of the room and requested a male tech instead, because he felt that a male would know more than what she did, even though she was his superior and had been at that studio for, I don't know, a decade. It's so unfortunate that it still happens. And this is, within the past 10 years that this happened to me. So, I think not just being an ally, but really if you are, if your friend is a musician or she's going into the studio and there is a way to be an ally, just, I always tell my either clients or girlfriends who are models, never go to a photo shoot alone, always bring a chaperone. And, I'll go with you or have another guy go with you. I think that's another, it sucks that we have to do this. It's really messed up, but I think that this is going to continue happening. And having that chaperone, having someone else in the room with you in those sessions, It's, obviously we don't want to have to have a chaperone. I don't want to bring someone into the studio with me, but if that is how someone is going to feel safe, that's what we need to do. But also, just to inspiring other women to pursue careers in the audio recording world, whether you're an engineer, a producer. I think there are so many roles that we have where if you are, a studio manager, due diligence in finding more women who are qualified for the position, because there are women who are qualified for the position. They just may not know that this position is open. So seek them out and really make that effort. So we're not working in a recording studio of 35 men and 1 woman. It's so common, and it's happened so many times where I think if we're in the power to hire, make that effort to hire women. I think what we do here at United is Rob gives annual or quarterly tours with different schools. And Rob is our studio manager and director. He will come in and speak, and it's actually really great because we have seen more female engineers, women students that are really inspired. And then when you're coming in, you're actually, touching the faders. It's tangible equipment. And so it's even more inspiring for them to be like, I can get into this studio. I can actually work here. And we accept, I always get resumes sent over to me, and I forward them over to either Justin, our head of operations, or Rob. And they've been really great about it as well. There's also, I've been in a situation where I wanted to enroll at a school and study music production, and where the administrator sexually harassed me, and that made me scared of the school. So that whole kind of dream of wanting to go to and study, I just, stepped away and was like, well, I'll just take one-on-one lessons from friends or online courses or whatever. So that was, it's also in the other environments. It's in educational systems. It is in the recording studio, of not just being an ally for women, but if you have a male friend who is objectifying women or being sexist, misogyny, don't allow it. Don't be silent. Tell them to shut up. But, call them out. It's not okay. And that's, I think, the only time when it's really going to start changing is when other men are holding other men accountable. Instead of us having to be the one to do it. Like, we're not the mom. Don't have us, aren't you?
Yeah, I have this conversation a lot too with my Black friends. Like, I think it's a kind of, we were talking about Black Lives Matter earlier. Also, it's kind of a very similar thing. It's not, I always tell my my white friends, it's not Black people's, duty to teach us how to be better white people.
That's our job.
We should just be better people, right? And the same thing with males, to women. Men should just be better people and just treat our colleagues like our colleagues, like we would any other colleague. Which kind of leads me into my next segment of this interview. I'd love to kind of just talk about, geek out on what you guys do, and and kind of inspire people about the incredible work that you're already doing and creating out there. Em, I'll start with you, and you're kind of tell people how you've developed yourself as an artist, a producer, and then kind of all around manage. I think you manage yourself too, and you promote yourself. I mean, please tell me a little bit about your M empire.
So when I started, all I wanted was to be recognized and validated by a man in an office who would be like, hey, here's your dream on a silver platter, right? That's what everyone wants. And the further I got into it, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see that the more opinionated I am, the more I know what I want, the more I'm like really on my shit of who I'm trying to become, the less that I am well received by men. And this is, I know we're talking about studios, but this is like in the business realm. This was a huge problem for me. And I also I'm a very curvy girl. My grandma was shaped like Kim Kardashian, and I caught some of her body, which sounds great but it's also made my life so much harder, because I think like I've been told so many times, like, oh, you'll never be successful because you look like a Playboy bunny. Like, it's not ever going to work for you. And that's my natural body. And that's by like massive managers, massive labels, gone into labels, played them my stuff, and they'll be like, I'm sorry, I just needed to tell a couple stories because we're talking about women's issues. I went into labels, had meetings, and they'd be like, yeah, I need to stop apologizing. I went into labels, had meetings, they'd be like, wow, this is really cool. Like, who produced this? Oh, I did. Oh, okay, we should probably put you in with some other producers. And I'm like, oh, okay. Things like that happen just so much. Or it'd be like, we love this song, who wrote it? I did. Okay, we'll put you in with writers. And it's like, well, why did you love it before you knew that I made it? So that was frustrating. I had several managers, really toxic. I mean, I was sort of raised to attract very narcissistic, toxic people. And I definitely did that the first half of my career. I was just attracting like the craziest of the crazy people, and got myself in a lot of like sticky situations. So eventually I just got so fed up. I was like, I just need to make my own money, build my own following, and just learn how to do everything. Because you can learn how to do everything with like Google. There's no excuse not to know how to do stuff, because you can like Google and YouTube anything. So I just like educated myself. I decided like, okay, I need to make my own money. How am I going to do that? I learned about influencing, became a successful influencer, because you know how long it takes to make money properly in music. And then I was like, okay, like this is working. This is pretty cool. I built my own like in-house production team. So I got like a young producer and songwriter that I love. They're like my best friends. They're up and coming, and we just create together. So we're really fast. Our output is crazy. We could do like 50 songs in like a couple months. Then I was like, okay, I need to build the sync side of my business. So I went and I built that. I like got independent sync agents, and like the whole time I still wanted a man in an office to come rescue me, but they didn't come. So I was like, okay, I must just, not be making the right music. And I just decided like, I'm just going to let go of this idea that I need to be saved. And I'm just going to save myself and show up and embrace like how smart I am. Because I think it was so hard for me to believe that I was smart enough to like do it on my own, or smart enough to, for my ideas to like be good enough. And, when you're in music, it's like, no matter what you're doing, if you're not successful yet, everyone's going to be like, oh, well, let me pick out these 10 flaws with what you're doing, instead of being like, oh, these like 5 things are working so well, like let's celebrate those and build those. They're very quick to just like tear down what you're doing and then move on to the next artist. And I'm very sensitive to criticism. I'm an INFJ. That's like a huge part of my personality, is like criticism is like, I take it very seriously and I really take it to heart. So that was very hard for me. But yeah, I just decided to empower myself, and I have built my whole business now. I have a staff, I have assistants, I have people running my social media. We spent the last year and a half like creating a short film and like a whole entire like story that's actually starts launching next week. So I've been offline for like a year because I've been working so hard behind the scenes on that, and I'm really excited for that to launch. But yeah, I'm really excited about the future. I'm grateful to be able to be independent and like thriving, and I'm thankful to have so many incredible women to look up to. And like, I'm still on the business side, like managing everything with my staff, which is cool. And I don't have to give up 20% of my income to someone that might not be it. I can really like wait for the right person and the right partners. And yeah, that's where I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm sorry if that was too long. I'm not sorry.
And no reason to be sorry, and it was perfect. That was, it was exactly what I wanted to know.
Yeah, that's amazing, and congratulations. That is so incredible and important that it's not just, and this is what I always try to tell other artists, you have to be your own brand, you have to be your own CEO. Stop trying to wait for this manager, the magical manager who's going to like swoop in and make you famous, or the label is banging down your door. Like, no, it's not how this works. If you don't, you want to be a musician, that's great. You can write the song, you can perform it, but you know nothing about the business side, or you don't know anything about the marketing or any of that. If you're not going to spend time learning, you're never going to succeed at it. Like 1% chance of maybe making it, and you better be really, you're gonna, like, this is a rare artist that's going to do that. But for you to do that is setting an example, and that's so important to continue educating other girls specifically of exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it, because that is what is going to lead them to successful musical careers as well, regardless of whether they want to be a musician or they want to be a music supervisor. It has to be not just learning that one tool, learning songwriting. It's about everything. And that is what I'm doing, with We Hear Noise Music Group. It's artist label services. But because I have a management background, I forgot to even say I was on management team for Perry Farrell, Jane's Addiction, Kind Heaven Orchestra, Kind Heaven Vegas project, just over the past couple of years. And from that experience, artist management, I have taken that in before working with Perry, working with artists and trying to educate them of stop just wanting to be on stage, learn how to book yourself. You don't need a manager, learn how to manage yourself. Because like what you said, Em, I could be giving 20% of everything I've built and worked for to somebody else when you can build that empire and keep the money for yourself. And then, eventually decide of whether or not when that manager comes banging on your door, if you even want to have a manager at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a label, or do you want to release your music independently? Because if you learn, like you said, the technology, everything is out there. The YouTube videos are out there, the panels, people are so much more accessible now. You can learn it on your own and do it and build it. And that's what I want to continue to educate and inspire other women to do. Whether it's, for me, I do artist management services and a label, marketing and all of that on my own, but really empowering them. So I have an artist that I'm working with right now who I was able to facilitate, not just because I have an independent label and I think that she is going to blow up. I have high expectations for her. I always have. What I'm doing right now is trying to help her build her career up to the point of getting on a major label. I want to see her succeed and get to that point, not keep her on my label. I want to just hand her over. I just helped her get major artist management because she's at the point in her career, she needs it. So we have that, and that's going to elevate her to getting the label deal that she needs. So it's really special for me to be able to set out that goal. I met her in 2014, was able to work with her in the past year, and now just seeing all of these really amazing things happen for her and just being a small part of it, where it's like, okay, I'm really able to do what I sought out to do. And it's empowering for me because it's something I wanted to work with her for such a long time, and I finally have the power to do so and help her career. So
what's her name?
Should I say? I don't. So it's Young
Summer.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
I just wanted to be supportive. I'm sorry. I was like, well, let me go follow her then.
It's amazing. She's an incredible, prolific songwriter, beautiful voice, her visuals, she knows how to run her social. She's interactive with all of her fans. She's doing it right. And I just want to I don't know, just those are.
What was her name again? I'm sorry, I missed it. I couldn't hear it.
Her name is Bobby, Young Summer. But yeah, she's one of those people who also I watched this YouTube video of how to do this, or, I'm talking to her about playlisting of hey, I know how to do playlisting. Let me just show you how to playlist yourself so you're not dealing with third-party curators and getting screwed. Or it's advertising, whatever. It's been really cool to be able to work with her and help set that up. But taking that, now I get to, I tested it out. And I'm going to just be able to start really focusing doing A&R and helping other artists' careers. And I really want to work with more women. So
fantastic.
Hey, can I add something, Steve? Or are we out of time? I'm sorry.
No, we got time. Please.
Okay.
Out of way. Until he puts the hook in, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. I was thinking about
talking after this.
Go ahead.
I was thinking a lot about what you were speaking. reminded of like my early days when I was signed to a lot of different major management companies and stuff like that. And I just was thinking, sorry, I got distracted by something on the screen. I was thinking about how often I was told, like, you need to lose weight, you need to have hair this color, you need to do your makeup like this is what you need to sound like, this is who you can work with and who you can't work with. It was very controlling. And I think that's something that we should probably address, is like how incredibly controlling men in the industry can be to young female artists. And that was a huge reason that I was like, fuck this. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can swear. But yeah, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, it was so triggering at a certain point where I was like, I can't be told what to do and who to be. And I think that's like a major issue in the industry, is like young girls not being trusted with their vision, not being trusted with their intuition. I think that's why like Billie Eilish is just fucking killing it, because you look at her and you're like, okay, that's a girl that like she seems to know who she is. She seems to just do whatever she wants to do, and no one's standing over her saying like, you need to lose 20 pounds, you can't have that color hair, you can't say this, you can't say that. And I think that that's like a huge shift that we're seeing post Me Too, and I'm really excited for that, like that we don't have to be who these labels say that we have to be, and also that we might not necessarily need labels in the next 5 years. Like, we might be running our own shit and making billions of dollars, being pop stars without labels, and like just being really creative in the deals that we do. So I wanted to share that.
Yeah, like we set the bar now. It's not, it's kind of like the Wild West. Now we have NFTs. Now we have where it's like, I might be able to set up We Hear Noise for distribution for NFTs. And so now I'm studying that. What other ways can I help artists? And for you may not need a major label in a few years. And on the trajectory that you're going right now, it looks like you probably won't. You're making your own money, you make your own music, you're your own powerhouse. So why would you need that? It's an option that will be in front of you eventually, soon, but you're going to be in that position of, I don't know, maybe I don't want this after all, because I already have it. And I think a lot of more artists are going to be taking that route of, you're your own CEO and you're your own label. We can, it's easy. It'll be easier to get our own distribution as artists. So I think, yeah, it's really no telling of where it's headed. But I think that you're right on the dot, where we may not need major labels anymore. They may be the dying breed.
Nice.
Boom.
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 So let me ask you guys, you're both people who wear many hats. I see Eve is getting back into the conversation here. All right, so we've got a few more seconds. Maybe ask us one last question.
Yeah. Go.
So you both wear multiple hats in this industry. I was curious, what's your favorite hat to wear, and what's your least favorite hat to wear?
Oh, that's a good question.
My least favorite hat is artist management. Not because I'm
they're all crazy.
Sorry. I'm a
no, it's true. It's true. I embrace it.
Like I do this. It's been all of my life, all of my career is of service, and that is what I enjoy doing, until recently, where I realized I was like, I want to take a step back from artist management. Because it's just so draining. I love people and I love helping their careers. But when I started We Hear Noise Music Group, I was like, I can still do that, but it doesn't have to be my full-time job. And I can be selective of who I want to promote and help and guide. And so yeah, with artist management, that would be my least favorite hat. What would yours be, Em?
My favorite is that I just love being on stage, and everything I do is just literally so I can get to the point where I can play big shows. That's all I have ever really wanted. I don't have a least favorite. I love what I do, and I'm so thankful that I get to do it. And it's like a hustle and a grind, and I work super hard. A lot of it's behind the scenes and gets zero glory whatsoever, but it's really fun, and it's terrifying, but it's an adventure, and I just love adventure. So I know that that's annoying that I don't have a least favorite, but I was like literally sitting like, I don't know. Like, I really like doing everything. I love learning new things, and I love to be challenged. So I'm having fun.
Impressive. I wish I was in your shoe. I'll throw in my least favorite is business. I'm horrible at business. I'm horrible at trying to collect my own money, and I'm just really bad at it. I'm really good at sitting in a little room by myself, making music and becoming somehow even paler. That I'm really, really good at, and I do that a little too well. But yeah, so that's my favorite thing is to sit in a little room like kept veal, and that's about it. But yeah, MJ, did you have your absolute favorite? Did you come up with one?
Absolute favorite. I mean, one thing that I do miss is performing on stage. That was an absolute favorite. There's really nothing else that quite compares to those moments. I think everything else.
The biggest smiles I ever saw from you were after your shows.
Friends, yeah. That was fun. But I also at the same time don't miss performing. But I don't know. I think like what you were saying, there are like two things. The artist management side that I kind of love less. I don't hate it. I just I wanted to take a step back from it and focus on myself and the business. But I love everything else that I do. I don't know. I think for me, the best part is seeing an artist succeed that I got to help. Or it's like, I did that, I produced that, and then you see it happen. Or it's like, this is on TV, I did that. Or, I produced an event, come up with an idea, see it through, and then it's day of, and you're just like, I did this. Those are like my favorite moments. And yeah, it's just being able to see them through. And
fantastic.
I thought of an answer. Taxes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say taxes, like the
taxes,
management and taxes. I hate taxes.
I don't understand that. I do not understand my tax guy. Like, he's the nicest guy. And I am like,
oh my God,
I love this. This is what you do every day.
Yeah. I tell my tax girl to say stuff to me like 4 times before I kind of start to get it. It's hard. Yeah. That side of things is a mess.
Yeah, I was gonna get that. So I'm assuming that Eve's here to say we probably need to wrap it up.
Oh, listen, okay, so first of all, do you know how hard it has been for me to stop butting in this conversation, because everything you guys have been saying, I'm like, I know, I agree. Like, I've really had to hold back from getting involved in your conversation because it's been so good. Like, everything you've said, I completely resonate with. It's safety in studios, super important for us to have that conversation with men, and the fact that you're kind of starting that conversation, Steve, is so important. You've put yourself forward to support us today, to show that you care and that you want to see change in the behavior in that environment, and it's super important. One of the things that I wanted to achieve from today was action. We're doing this today, but it's something that we should be talking about constantly. We should keep having the conversation. And so taking action is super important. And I feel like we've definitely done this today. You being a cis white male in the industry, in a position of power, and you have made a conscious choice to step back and highlight these 2 amazing women who have worked their backsides off to get where they have got today. And it's actions like this that are so vital to what I'm trying to achieve here. And it makes me like, yeah, I can't thank you enough for putting yourself in that position and for highlighting these amazing women who are doing fantastic things.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for creating this platform for them to share their stories and to inspire. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know these
people.
guys, and I'm inspired. Like, you've inspired me today, and this is the first time I've seen you guys. So thank you for that, because listening to your stories, and I've been in the industry for over 20 years. So it just proves you don't have to be someone who's just entering the industry to be inspired by another human being who believes in themselves, who stands up for who they are, and doesn't take any crap from people. Earlier I was having a discussion, being a woman who's gay, mixed race, a box ticker, so to speak. You get a lot of tags, a lot of, oh, she's got attitude, just because I won't let someone speak to me in a certain way, or there's loads of things I could go into, but just literally listening to all of you have this conversation is so heartwarming. So I just want to thank you all so much. And it was so hard to sit back, but amazing at the same time. Amazing to watch and listen. So thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, I hope I get to know you personally.
Same here. I'd love to connect after this, and hopefully maybe do this again and continue the conversation. And
yeah.
It really is something I want to.
And how can people get what's your Instagram, so people can get to know you as an artist also? I just want to make sure that M's out there.
Oh, thank you guys so much. My Instagram is M in real life, EMM in real life. And thank you so much, Steve, for just being someone that has been trustworthy and just like a wonderful person to know. Thank you guys for having me as well. And MJ, you're awesome. It's nice to hear all your stories too.
And MJ, could you give us your record label's Instagram?
Yeah, it's very small right now because we're just launched. It's at We Hear Noise, or at MJ Maelstrom, M8. Yeah, I don't need to spell it.
It doesn't matter.
We Hear Noise is a good one. I think that's the record company / that's the stuff you're promoting right now, right? And that's
followers on it right now. It's really huge.
I think I follow it, so it must be huge.
Thank you. I think, or they just did. I mean, we literally just launched, so it's really, really neat and really fun to see how it's growing. And yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
So
thank you all.
Really
thank you guys so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I have to do this to play everyone out, so I'm gonna just
Amazing.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you guys so much. And
thank
anyone
you.
wants to get in touch with them, follow them on Insta, check them out. If you want to be inspired, make sure these people are in your circle. Thank you again so much, guys. You are so inspirational. And I will hopefully be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye-bye.